Come down. Ooh, you make my high come down. Always tripping when you come around. Never have to cut you out like right now. You see, I don't have to drive me. You can say that for your mama. Maybe you should smoke some. Me try the marijuana. I was never you good. The vibe was straight. Showed you a couple of things and they feel strange. I treated you right. Everything was a gift from a time to your bag and the color on your lip.
Welcome to Seahawks Man to Man podcast, powered by Blue Wire. Shout out to the new company. My name is Michael-Shawn and You guys know where to follow me. You know, whatever Elon Musk is calling that app these days, I'm still there at Mike Dugar, Mikedugar. I'm also all around Blue Sky. Still getting the hang of it, but I am there. Same at name or whatever they're calling it over there. Holla at me. Make sure you follow us on Instagram and TikTok. Seahawks Man to Man is the name of the handle on both of those. That's Seahawks Man, the number 2 man. That is also the name of our YouTube channel, Seahawks Man to Man. Make sure you like and subscribe. Even if you listen to us just on audio, it's hitting the button over there on YouTube means a lot to us, both emotionally and financially. So thank you for that. Chris, go ahead, talk to him.
What is going on, everyone? You can follow me on Blue Sky at CKIDD206, and that's CKid206, same on Twitter as well. How about them Seahawks? On the road, get a huge win, 30-18 over the Arizona Cardinals, and they now have a nice lead. Mike, what are the numbers, the percentages that they have now, considering they won this game, won on Sunday against the Cardinals to make the playoffs?
Great question. I have an answer for that. So this is according to the homie Austin Mock at The Athletic, who does like our projection model, crunches all our numbers for us. He says that after this win, the Seahawks have a 61% chance of making the playoffs, and 56% to win the division. And, you know, just out of curiosity, I'll read you the rest of them. The Rams are at 33%, 33 and 31%. The Cardinals fall all the way to 11% and 9%. And then the Niners are at double digits in both. Like, this was, you mentioned a huge win. That's like almost an understatement. This was really a big deal, more so for the Cardinals than the Seahawks, because now they're just kind of cooked. Like, they lost 3 in a row, then got swept. Like, no one can really afford to be swept in the division. Like, you need splits at worst. You know, for everyone should be looking for that. So big time win. First place in the division. They're 8-5. Let me pull up the standings. They are 8-5. In first place. The Rams are 7-6. Big time winning for them against Buffalo. Surprised me there. And then the Cardinals are 6-7 now. They have the tiebreaker over the 6-7 Niners by virtue of beating them earlier in the year. So it's still kind of tight, but yeah, this is a nice. It's not a full-on cushion per se, because not that many games ahead of the Rams, who play the Niners on Thursday. But yeah, I mean, they're rolling. All these division games are a big deal. They didn't win 4 straight. You know, hit a 30 ball for the first time in forever. You know, no sacks. Like, it was just, you know, ran the ball well. It was everything. Turnovers. It was a really big win, not only in the final, just the ultimate result, but then, yeah, how it looked. They looked. I thought Ernest Jones said something very interesting. He was like, we heard them talk about how they didn't like how the first game went, them being the Cardinals. They didn't like how the first game went, so they wanted to, you know, have a different outcome and come out hungry. And of course they did, right? That makes sense. Their backs were against the wall. And they did not look like the hungrier team. They did not look like the more desperate team. They looked like the inferior team in legitimately all 3 phases, if you want to just compare the 2 kickers, you know, and the punter. Bad shank. So, like, yeah, all 3 phases, they were the inferior team, which is, like, very disappointing for the Cardinals, considering their season was damn near on the line today at the crib, and super encouraging for the Seahawks, who now won 4 straight and really doesn't hit their groove right now.
Absolutely. And you mentioned all 3 phases. They played their best ball of the season when it mattered the most. Now it's about stacking. And we were talking about it off wax, how the players are feeling that. And yeah, we won this game on Sunday, but we have another challenge ahead. So they're already basically preparing themselves for another tough playoff type game at home, which at least they got to win, but they've had issues at home. So now, can they rebound, but again, their performance on Sunday against the Arizona Cardinals was top to bottom really good. Zach Charbonnet and the run game was phenomenal. You saw a little creativity, something I feel like I've been preaching about all season. It feels maybe not all season, but the last 4 to 5 weeks, I've been begging Grubb to do creative things with the run game instead of just trying to go hat on hat and say our O line is better than your D line. We're going to move you back. There's only a handful of teams that are doing that. Lions are top of the charge in that regard, as you saw what was it, on Thursday Night Football, where Dan Campbell just lines them up and says, yeah, we are the better football team. We're going to go for it here. And on 4th and inches, that is, and moved that D line back and ran the football, ran the clock down, and kicked the game-winning field goal. The Seahawks are trying to get to that. But for the time being, you have to be creative. Mike Macdonald is creative in his designs and how he sends pressure and different blitzes. You guys know my favorite blitz, the double corner blitz. It hasn't connected yet.
Yeah, about to say, I don't think that still hasn't hit. We're in week 14.
It hasn't hit yet.
Damn shame.
The good news is you're now seeing Ryan Grubb get back. Not necessarily that he abandoned it, but you're seeing more opportunities of creative runs. I mean, hell, even the run that was botched because JSN fumbled the snap, I liked it. It just didn't work out because JSN was looking upfield and didn't secure the pitch from Geno Smith. But I'm liking where the offense is going, and Mike and I talked off wax. Yeah, the Cardinals defense line is not that good. They should have had this success 3 weeks ago, but they came down to Arizona on the road, and wow, the offensive line didn't give up any sacks. You saw zeros, a couple of false starts and a holding here and there, but overall a clean game from the offense. And what more could you ask for with this team right now at 8-5 and a chance to really solidify themselves as the best team in this NFC West division, considering the issues with the Niners? The Cardinals have now lost 4 straight. I think it's going to come down to the Rams and the Seahawks, but there's still a few games left, so it'll be interesting to see how this all folds. But you got to give credit where credit is due. In all 3 phases, the Seahawks were money. And what more can we say about the defense? After that first drive, they really locked in and forcing 2 turnovers back-to-back. Kobe Bryant interception. Ernest Jones, man, just beautiful. Cover 3, drop it into his hook zone. Didn't expect the football.
That's a terrible throw. Kyler is not locked in. He is not. He's playing terrible.
Somebody hit me on Twitter and was like, man, he must have had a really long game of Call of Duty last night.
No, that's what it looks like. No, Kyler looks like he's playing bad. Me and Teo were just whose fault it is that the Cardinals lost. And Teo, shout out to Teo Mackey, was our guest on the show. I was talking to him. I was like, bro, I think these last 3 games, Kyler has like 3 touchdown passes and 5 picks. One of them is a pick 6. Like he's not the total problem, but like the reason they had won 4 straight going into the first Seahawks game is because he was playing well, and now he is objectively playing bad, and that is reflected in why they can't win a damn game.
Yeah, but the pressure was great. D Hall was, oh my gosh, poor number 70. I don't know.
Paris Johnson, that's their first round pick. They traded up for him.
Yeah, and
not this year. They traded up. I think he's in Jackson's draft.
D Hall made it look like a nightmare. I just can only imagine what the film session is going to be like for D Hall and how there's going to be a lot of replays. Like, that's how you dominate. That's what you're supposed to do. D Hall was just beating him down. Even Boye Mafe had a few snaps where he was handling business. So give credit to those guys for having a performance that they needed. Leonard Williams has been dominant the past 2 games. Guess what? Leonard Williams was still good, but other guys also stepped in and made big plays and forced Kyler into uncomfortable situations, which led to turnovers. So I thought, again, on all 3 phases, the Seahawks did a solid job, a really good job against the Cardinals on Sunday.
Yeah, if you guys see me on YouTube looking at my phone, I was trying to see if Chris picked up Zach Charbonnet in our fantasy league because I know he has Ken. You needed a win this week.
Well, it don't matter because
you had Josh Allen. Oh boy,
I won, but it don't matter because one of the homies just didn't pay attention to his roster because he ain't making the playoffs. I had to text him like, "Hey, bro, I need you to put players in," because he didn't have a quarterback starting. Mike, he had C.J. Stroud in the game. He had a Texans receiver. And he had no kicker. So I'm texting him like, hey, bro, you got about 3 minutes to set your roster because I want to get in, but it's not going to happen unless I know no one cares about fantasy unless what's the running back's name for the Cowboys? Unless he has 20 points, I'm not getting in.
Yeah, Rico Dowdle. Yeah, I'm looking at
Yeah,
your matchup right now. That's unfortunate.
it
Well,
is.
I was thinking of Zach Charbonnet. Man, boy, good shout out to him. I feel like the Cardinals can't catch a break, man. It feels like they've played the Seahawks a few times now where the lead running back ain't there, and it just hasn't mattered.
It
You
don't
remember
matter.
it's not recent, but I remember a few years ago. I guess this is like 5 or 6 years ago now. But Chris Carson had got hurt, and Mike
Thomas
Davis made his
Rawls.
first start.
Oh,
It was
okay,
Mike
my bad.
Davis, and he ran for like 2 tugs and 100 yards, and it was like his best game of his life. And it was like Chris Carson had been killing it. It was like, damn, man, like it shows that if you just give some of these running backs an opportunity, they can thrive. And yeah, the defense is locked in. Offense a little bit too penalty happy there in that second half. That was kind of I was like, yo, you guys are doing stupid stuff again. Geno had the grounding call. That was in the first half. Olu got hit for holding. Who else? Yeah, delay a game, which shouldn't have happened. Abe hit a false start. Charles hit a false start. Charles was bad too. And there was another one in there. Oh yeah, 2 guys got hit for a play, and then one of them, Abe had 2 penalties today. So I think 6 penalties on offense. Thankfully, the Cardinals, just like the last time, were worse. How many penalties the Cardinals have? Seahawks had 9. Cardinals had 6. It does feel like every week that whoever the Seahawks just get these whistles, man. Even the other team just starts doing stupid stuff. I think at one point both teams got called for 12 men on the field. It's just
Yeah, those are no excuse for that. So you're right.
yeah, no, and that was the case last week too. The Jets got called for it. But you're right. A really just a butt kicking for real. And you know what? Something that stood out, a lot of things, which we'll get to, particularly offense. We will get to Grubb. Shout out to him. We'll get to Mike Macdonald, who was dialing it up outside of the first drive. We'll talk about that too. But you guys know that one of the ways that I assess the coach is how well he's getting what he's saying during the week to translate. I really think you mentioned the Lions. They are a great example of this. The Lions are Dan Campbell. Like you just can feel it. Like when you watch them and you listen to Dan and you watch Dan, it helps that he was on Hard Knocks. So like we feel like we really know Dan Campbell. Like we can just feel like, oh, this is the Lions. From everything from their physicality to like how they carry themselves to the fact that they try to run the score up every week and their aggressiveness on 4th downs. Like they are Dan. You know what I'm saying? It matches. And that's good. That's what you want. That's what good teams do. The Chiefs are Andy Reid. The Steelers are Tomlin. The Ravens generally are Harbaugh when Justin Tucker makes kicks. So you can feel, the energy and it matches. And for a second there, what all the good stuff Mike was talking about, because I do think Mike Macdonald has like a sound philosophy just as a coach and a dude.
Oh yeah.
But it just wasn't getting there. He was saying stuff and it made sense. And then Sunday it looked totally different. And it's really coming together and they're becoming him. And there was a few ways you see it. One is just how they're playing on defense. Like they're just really locked in. The effort is there and it's been there all year. I mean, Chris and I were talking about that. And Chris understandably was pointing out that like, okay, the best thing you do can't just be effort, like actually go make plays. And he's right. But
No,
it
but
is
Mike, you corrected me. There's a fine line between that because you named some of the bad teams and you saw what happened. Coaches get fired, so
right.
it was annoying for me just because I know what the expectation for this team was. But you brought me down to ground level and said, "Chris, pay attention now. Effort matters. Go look at this."
You're right.
Yeah. So continue though.
No, you're right. There's some teams, I think I mentioned a few teams I mentioned they have since fired their coach.
Exactly.
Bears just fired theirs. The teams that aren't playing for their coach and aren't giving effort, it's so obvious. The Jets lost another close game. Like they're very clearly not playing for whoever is coaching them. They have no effort. They're a bad team, and the Seahawks were not that. So you can kind of feel like it could maybe turn around. And so the effort's always been there. The defense is flying around. The last drive really stood out to me. Like you could tell they did not want the Cardinals to score again.
No.
The
You would
the
think they had
tackling.
money on the spread, Mike. Not that it was
Yeah.
not covered already, but yeah.
Yeah, no, they were fighting to tooth and nail, like the game was on the line, damn near. They sent the blitz again on the last play. Mike Macdonald's like, nah, bro, we're not having this, but that's part of like him and his attitude, and it's reflected in how they play. The other thing, and this is from talking to guys during the week and post game and everything, on and off the record, you can really feel from everyone the urgency. Like when they came back from the bye week, the players took it upon themselves. I mean, Mike had already expressed this, but the players also took it upon themselves to be like, yo, we can't lose no more. because we dug ourselves this big ass hole and now we can't lose. So let's lock in. This is playoff time starting now. Let's lock in, you know. And they've really took that to heart, and you can see it, the urgency they're playing, just based on their own, like them trying to embody what Mike was telling them, you know, coming back from the bye when they got a chance to, you know, reflect, relax, go to Cabo, whatever, and come back. And the other part of that's showing up is the urgency based on what Mike Macdonald and John Schneider are doing. And I really feel like this is perhaps a little bit more reflective of Mike Macdonald, although I'm sure John Schneider agrees. Chris, if you're not performing, Mike Macdonald won't just bench you. He will put you on the waiver wire like moving like a fantasy football manager. You know, we've obviously seen that, but the fact that we just keep seeing it even when they're winning, that's just the level of accountability that really puts everyone on notice. Like even if you are a player and you were going to get kind of comfortable, you seeing LaVisca pack up his locker and you're like, oh damn, oof, all right, let me make sure I'm on my stuff. You know, he punted on. Mike Macdonald had a kid. I think his wife gave birth to their son on like Tuesday, but he went to the hospital. I think her water broke on Monday, and I'm bringing up the timeline because when they landed from New York, Mike Macdonald had to tap in Leslie Frazier to come talk to the media for his Monday because his wife was going to have a baby. But he made sure before he did that, the one thing he did before he went and had the baby was cut LaVisca. And I'm bringing that up because that's how serious it was. It was like, yo, I don't have any time. I don't even just see if there's other kick returners on the waiver wire. You're gone because you're just not, you're not living up to the standard. And then D Williams didn't make it through the week. I saw D in the locker room on Thursday. By the time I talk to everybody and go sit in my seat, he's off the team. You know, they probably pulled him off the practice field. And it's not to make light of their situations, but I'm using those examples to express the urgency from Jerome Baker to Tyrell Dotson, to now there are 2 kick returners in the same damn week, to even guys like Trey Brown getting sat down. And it's not, and even some guys who are returning and not getting their jobs back, like Rayshawn, like he is definitely, Mike has really raised level of accountability, and you can feel how guys are playing. Guys feel like not only are they playing for the dude next to him, it's like, yo, it's real around here. If you're not performing, you will not play. Like Mike seems to not care much about contracts and draft status or age or whatever. He's like, I'm playing who can ball. Chris, we think Christian Haynes got a chance to be the starting right guard. Damn that. Sautawa, you ain't played all year. Hop in. Christian grab some bench. Like he's just making it very clear, damn near every week, I'm leaving damn near every job open for grabs. If you do not perform, you will not play. And I don't care who you are. And sometimes if you don't perform, you won't even be here anymore. You got to go. That's how urgent it is. And I think that's necessary. They were 4-5 a month ago. 4-5 going into the bye. They needed some urgency. And the guys are responding well to that. It's not like they're playing out of fear of getting cut per se, but it's definitely like, it's accountability. I keep coming back to that word. It's like, yo, if I don't do my job, not only will I get my snaps reduced or get cut, I might be like playing for the Bears in a couple weeks, like that's real deal, So, I think that is a direct reflection of Mike. He's really setting the tone in that regard. And while at the same time encouraging guys who are performing, with the game day captain stuff, guys who are rewarding guys who are practicing well, making sure guys get ops if they're practicing well, like Cody White's and Kobe Bryant's, and guys who are just like, all right, man, if you do what you're supposed to do during the week, I'll put you out there, So I think that's really reflected in how they're performing on Sundays, which I think is encouraging. And then the last thing, like you mentioned as well, Mike is very much of like, if you guys watch his press conferences after games or during the week, I'm not gonna lie, they stink. I don't even go, post game. Mike's pretty boring. But what he does, because he's almost like a broken record, he's very process good. He's like, all right, we played well. Let's do it again. Let's stack days, stack wins. I think he has a poster in a facility somewhere that says like stack wins, and they have a picture of every win. They put it up every week, like every Thursday, because the emphasis is just, all right, you did it once, do it again. All right, you did well, do it again. And Chris, it was almost like robots after the game. Everybody I talked to said some version of, man, no, this is lit. This feels great. We ran the ball well, complete game, complimentary football, but we got to do it again next week against Green Bay. Like, but we can't let up. Oh, but we can't take our foot off the gas. Talking to DK, he was like, no, this feels great. We held number 1 in the NFC West, but we got to do it again. Like, it don't matter until we play Green Bay. They're good, blah, blah, blah. And that's all I think They know that, but I really do think that's part of the reflection of the coach. They are being the coach. And that's what you need. You're nothing in the NFL without that. You're really not. If there's a disconnect between team and identity of coach, eventually everybody gets fired and cut. That's just how it goes. And right now, the reason that they're thriving, I think, is because everything that Mike is talking about, and not just him, other coaches too, but he's the head of the snake. Everything that he's talking about and who he is and kind of his attitude about things, accountability, aggression, stacking days, being about the process and the work, and attacking their weaknesses, all of that is starting to show up. And that's really good. If there's any reason to be encouraged, someone asked about how deep they can go in the playoffs. We'll answer that later. But if there's anything to be encouraged about beyond just the individual results of these weeks, it is that they're playing like Mike Macdonald ball with a Mike Macdonald attitude. And that's just good for the future. They probably won't win the Super Bowl this year or anything, but the only way to get to that type of level is to embody the coach you hired, and they're doing a really good job of that right now.
Perfect. Well, Mike, we did get some Twitter questions. You ready to dive in on some of these?
Yeah, we got some good ones. We always do. We love y'all. So yeah, let's do it.
Let's kick things off with our friend Thorsten. Do the Seahawks have something in Kenny Macintosh there with the struggling run game?
Yeah, what's surprising about Kenny is I'm trying not to just like study his body here for a second, but he doesn't like have a really big lower, like he's not like one of those quad dudes like Saquon or like even like Ken or who's the other like quad monster in the NFL. I know AJ Dillon's built like that.
He's still in the league, huh? Shoot.
I have no idea. If he is, he's probably still on the Packers, and we'll find out this week. But then we just got a few. This like he's not built like that, but he's got really strong balance. Zach does too, but Zach's like super buff up top, so it kind of makes sense. And he runs really wide. Like Kenny does too. I like Kenny, and Kenny's got really good long speed, as he showed in that playoff run that preseason run for a touchdown. But yeah, I think they do. I think today was obviously their best day running the ball in a long time. Chris, I think
since 2022.
Yes, this was their first time since Ken went crazy on the Chargers that they've hit this many yards. When he flipped off that lady in the Chargers stands, and then this is the first time they've had a 100-yard rusher since week 1, which is just crazy. Think about that. We're in week 14. They've had a 100-yard rusher. I think Ken hit 90 once, and then I think Zach hit 90 against the Dolphins. They haven't hit a huncho since then. That's just crazy. And I think Kenny helps him get to that number. But really, that's a Zach stat. But anyway, yes, I do. I think they do. I don't think that really matters too much because once Ken's back, he'll get all the snaps. But the running back room is really solid. It is. It really, really is. And I liked what I saw from Kenny today. I mean, Zach was the star, but yeah, I think Kenny's really got some potential. As long as he can do his pass pro stuff, which I think he's doing okay at. I didn't really watch too closely today. As long as he's doing that, he's going to get reps eventually. That's just kind of the nature of the running back spot. Like today, it was Zach going crazy, but that could easily be if Kenny was to run for 100 yards at some point in these final 4 games. I wouldn't be surprised. I'll put it that way.
Bobby Hennessy. The short yardage goal line misses are frustrating. Against the Cardinals, the first drive ending in a field goal. Not too excited about that. Why aren't the Hawks trying the tush push? Would it solve any of their short yardage issues?
Yeah, I think every team personally should like give it a go, tush push. I don't think the Seahawks have done it with Geno. I think they tried it with DJ Dallas before, which I would not advise. But yeah, I think every team should give it a shot, even if it's not with your quarterback. I think I've seen the Chiefs do it with Kelsey, I want to say. And then I'm pretty sure I've seen the Ravens do it with Mark Andrews. So like you can do it. You can do it with pretty much anybody that's like big and strong and got that little quad action going. So yeah, I definitely think they should. Honestly, though, the first drive, I thought they were decent in some short yardage stuff. It was mostly just running the same play to Noah. But honestly, even the pass to what was that Pharaoh Brown that was on. What's that? I'm looking at my notes right now. It was 3rd and 2 or 3rd and goal at the 2. Pharaoh's open.
Just missed him.
Like, yeah, he just missed him. That's not even like bad by Grubb. So I think he threw it on 3rd and 1, got Noah. Threw it on 3rd and 1, got Noah again. Then got a 3rd and 2, and threw it. Pharaoh was open for a touchdown. I thought that was fine. And then they got back down there. When the second goal on the one, did a shotgun run that went nowhere. That's fine. It happens. I hate shotgun runs on the goal line, but it is what it is. Then they get under center though, and Chris texts me immediately after Zach scored on the 1-yarder. That was an excellent design. You know, they got Brady Russell at fullback. Last week they brought Ken Walker in off the jet sweep, which we talked about in our standout plays episode, YouTube exclusive on Friday. Go ahead and check that out. We talked about our standout plays, how they had two backs in there and brought Ken on the jet motion, gave it to Zach and get them flowing the wrong way and everything, and it worked out. Today, put Brady at fullback, Zach on the jet motion, hand it to him, still the edge, walk-in touchdown. I damn near jumped out the damn press box. I was like, yo, this is great. Do that again. Because running it right at the Cardinals, just like hat on hat, Grubb, he understandably gave up on that. Good. It was not working. Get some creativity in there. Just give the other team stuff they got to prepare for. Because now let's see who they playing next. The Packers. It's going to be 3rd and 1 against the Packers. They're going to line up with a fullback and then a running back in a jet motion, and they won't know what's going on. It could be a play action shot. It could honestly be a QB sneak if they want. It could be a play action rollout to the fullback. It could be a jet sweep. It could be whatever. All these different actions. So yeah, I think yes, they should do the tush push. But honestly, today I actually felt kind of decent about their short yardage stuff because you can see that Grubb's not just beating his head against the wall. You know, he's actually trying to do better. You know.
This one is from Rosa. Career day for Charbonnet. What allowed him to get going?
Yeah, you know, I thought today, I don't know how much they talked to. Who was on the broadcast today? I heard they were pronouncing Zach's name wrong.
I think it was Iron Eagle and I'll look it up real quick.
Were they pronouncing his name right?
Whose name?
Oh, Zach Charbonnet? I know you watch with the sound down.
I watched it with it up, but I'm rarely listening to them unless it's something big. But I don't recall off top. But I'm sure they might have.
No, I mean, the pronunciation thing is in there. They shouldn't. But I thought today was a good illustration of just what happens when you just trust the blocking, you know. And Ken shouldn't always trust it because it's not always there. But today, I think even Chris, one of your standout plays a couple weeks ago, or maybe it was just from the one of our one big things, was the exact run that kept hitting today. Oh. And they had a play, I think, against the Bills where Ken bounces it, and then Zach comes in and runs the exact same play and gets like 12 yards.
Yeah, it's the counter. It's the counter where they're pulling they're pulling
the guard and the tackle.
Yeah. So Abe and your boy, number 63.
Yeah, you still don't want to say his name, huh? It's okay. Yeah, like that little guard tackle counter, like it. They've run that before, and I think it was the Bills game where they ran it, and Ken like tried to bounce it and didn't. No, and then Zach came in, ran it later, and got like 12 yards. I don't remember what game it was, but either way, it doesn't matter. That if you follow that run right, that's hitting. It's been hitting for a while. It's been in the playbook for a minute. They used to run it a lot with Rashad Penny, and it worked quite a bit. It really works against aggressive teams. That's why, if you guys remember, it's worked a lot against like the Lions because they like to just send guys penetrating up front, trying to hit the gaps, you know, trying to get your backside if they can, if you do run that play. And if you can just outrun them, it's a potential for a house call. So Rashad was really good at that. Was not surprised to see Zach hit it. And the similarities between the two with Zach and Rashad kind of built the same. Zach's a little slimmer, but they both have really good contact balance. And they have good vision. Zach has really good vision. He trusts it, and he's not always trying to bounce a bunch of stuff. And I thought that was really what benefited them today. They basically were hitting Chris on that same run all game. Yeah, they were either pulling Charles and Lakin or pulling Abe and Sautawa Laumea. They say that name there. Boom. You know, they were just pulling one of them either direction. And it was just working, and Zach was just following it, which is what you have to do. Because that particular run, if you try to bounce that, you're probably cooked because you got no blockers. They're all going one way, you know. So I think that was a big part of it. And I think the other thing was an attitude thing, you know. I'll give an example. So I think Carl Scott, he's the secondary coach. Honestly, the whole defensive staff, but particularly Carl, like he was really on his DBs when they were giving up explosives in the run game, because that's how you give up explosives. Is your DBs usually do something wrong. Safety takes a bad angle, whatever. he was on them in a way that was aggressive and consistent every day. Like even during the bye week. It was like, yo, I'm on you guys. All the staff was, but players have mentioned him in particular. It sounds like Scott Huff, the O-line coach, was on that this week too. Like, yo, we are going to run the ball well, or there'll be consequences and repercussions. I added that second part, but it sounds like that's what it was. Like eventually these messages are sinking in. The run defense has been nails since then. This was the best I've seen the run game, and it really was a good scheme, but also well executed. They were hitting that stuff hard. I mean, on the South Tower on the touchdown, the 51-yarder, dog, he flattened somebody on that kick out block. Like that's what you need. DK lead blocking. I thought everybody I have to watch the film, but I thought all the outside players, tight ends and receivers blocked well today too. I really think Zach's vision coupled with good blocking was like the perfect marriage. And that's what you need. You mentioned the Lions earlier, Chris. That's what they have. Like Gibbs and Montgomery, they trust their line, and that's how they can hit those big ones. What did Zach have today? 130?
Yeah, let me double check. He had
134.
Yeah.
On
22 attempts.
Yeah, an efficient 134, man. That's 6.1 a pop. Yeah, man. That's what happened today. A marriage of good vision. Not to say Ken has bad vision, but I think we can all agree. We've watched enough ball with both of them. Zach has better vision. And his vision mixed with his power against DBs and the run scheme and the blocking being there, perfect marriage. And I do think that's something that can continue. Because again, that scheme has been working. It works. You just got to trust it and hit it.
Phil Birnbaum, do you think, even when healthy, that Ken Walker should still get the majority of touches over Charbonnet moving forward?
Damn, that's the sequencing of these questions. That's an interesting one. As much as I just talked up Zach, yes. And here's why. Here's my optimistic thought. Sometimes the bench is the greatest motivator, or sometimes like it's the greatest teacher. Not to say Ken was benched. Ken had the calf injury. He was a late scratched on Saturday, I think. Sometimes, like I bet you when they watch this film, like in the running back room or the offense or whatever, like that really might be the little aha that maybe Ken needs. Like, damn, we're locked in up front. I just gotta hit it. Just hit it. And I'll be okay. Cause that's all Zach did today. He didn't bounce nothing across the field. He didn't even really make that many people miss, like a couple cuts here and there, but not like he was spinning and juking and hurdling guys, right? It was just like the trust the process, it'll hit. And I think this is great film for Ken to be able to watch. Like, yo, dude, this is it. Now imagine you hitting that cut. We might run for 200, like that's what they're gonna be telling them in the room. Not to say they can just run that same play against Green Bay and Minnesota and it'll work and everything, but it's the idea of trusting it. And I think that sometimes what you need, Grubb has talked about that a lot with Olu with Timmy. When he didn't get the job, when Connor showed up, it was like, damn, what am I not doing? Like, why am I not playing? I just lost a starting job like that. And he got to watch and learn and get better. And now he's playing really well. I was talking to Julian Love about that when he didn't play much his first couple of years in New York. And, he was just like, dog, what? Like, why am I not playing? And that was I got to sit and watch and learn and really had that fire built up in him. Like, damn, I got to get on this field, I liked him sharing that with me, and some other guys go through similar things. And again, Ken wasn't benched, but sometimes being watching, you can see like, okay, I got to do that. And also that goes a little bit to my earlier point as well with the whole team. It's very clear Mike Macdonald is going to play who's performing. Let Ken miss another game and Zach run for another hundo.
Uh-oh.
You know who will be starting in the Minnesota game? Zack Charbonnet. That's right, because that's how Mike gets down. So justifiably so. So I'm giving Ken the benefit of the doubt that I think watching that will be some good film and some good motivation to see like if he just trusts what he's seeing, boom, he can have that type of day too.
Jeffrey wants to know, he has two. Doesn't Grubb deserve time to improve? And if Laumea becomes a legit starting guard, doesn't that negate any disappointment with Christian Haynes?
Look at you. You nailed that last name. there.
I heard it a bunch. How many
There
times
you
can I hear
go.
before I get it wrong, right, or get it right?
I was wondering that. Yeah. What was it? Oh, Ryan Grubb improving? Yeah, definitely he deserves. I mean, he deserves time to improve. This is what we talked about this in the offseason, Chris. I feel like there was a lot of I'm gonna call it blind. It was pretty much blind faith that Ryan Grubb would come in and be immediately better than like Shane Waldron and all the other previous OCs. I think him having had so much success in Seattle with the Huskies maybe contributed to that. But we were saying for a while, this is not college. Like this is gonna take some time. You're gonna have some bad games. You're gonna have some growing pains. These defensive coordinators are veteran cats in a lot of cases. And even Ryan Grubb last week he was like, he got asked what he's learned, being on the job. One of the things he mentioned was, you know, learning more about the trees that these guys come from in terms of defenses. And he's right. That is a big thing, for someone like, let's say, Shoddy. Shoddy's been an OC before, right? But he's seen, having been an OC, he sees all these different schemes and he sees like the tree of where these guys come from. Like, okay, this guy is a Fangio guy. So he likes this gap and a half, too high, blah, 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 blah. Okay, this guy comes from this really aggressive tree. He's like a Rex Ryan type, Wink Martindale, or like just from that Ryan tree, he likes to, chaos up front, moving parts, aggressive. Okay, this is how we handle that. Like, okay, but this is how this coach has his little adjustments off of that, and then Mike Macdonald kind of has his own little tree now where he's got guys running his scheme in where the hell the Chargers play? LA, Miami, they're running that scheme. Baltimore, obviously. Tennessee, they're running that scheme. There's another scheme. Oh, Pete has a tree. So you got guys running his stuff, his cover three, the Seattle defense. So I bring all that up and say that takes time. It does take time to see, and get right. And you got to figure out your O-line and all that stuff. So yeah, Grubb definitely takes some time, needs some time. The problem for him is he got hired in a year they're trying to win a championship. So, but he don't got that much time. But yes, you can cut him a little slack there. That he does need time to grow. It does seem like Chris, he was under a lot more fire than I thought. It was like, yo, does he need to get out of here? It's like, damn. I mean, we hard on Grubb, but not like that. It was kind of tough, I mean, he's a rookie, So yes, he definitely does deserve time to improve, and he's slowly been getting there. Slowly but surely, he has been. What was the second half of that question?
It was about Saute.
Oh no!
I folded
Oh,
under pressure. I see the name, but number 63, does him playing well, does that negate Christian Haynes' draft selection?
Sautawa Laumea. You got it. You got it, man. If you believe you can achieve. Negate? Nah, man. Nah. No, it doesn't. Just the answer. The answer is no. Like,
Oh, I was gonna explain why. Where'd they take
go ahead.
Christian
Go
again?
ahead. Yeah,
Where'd
go
they take
ahead.
Christian, Mike?
Ooh,
Third
where
round,
they-
right?
Oh,
Your
yeah.
third-
Okay. I thought you were going to ask me what pick.
No, I'm just like, my bad. I should have explained that better. But third round picks need to be on the field. There's
He's the
no
81st pick, by the way.
That's a guy that's supposed to be on the field. That's why. He's supposed to be out there, and he's not. So that pick looks really bad. Hey, Mike, what was Laumea? What was his draft selection?
I think he was in the 6th round, I want to say.
That's a guy that, hey, we just need you to fill the roster. You're part of the practice squad. That's what you're weighing here. So you have a guy, 6th round, that is, in theory, supposed to fight for a roster spot. Meanwhile, the guy you picked in the 3rd round to do these things in the run game, be a pass blocker, all these things that you scouted him for, it hasn't connected. That is not a good look. That falls into the John Schneider discussion where his comments earlier in March of we're not paying all these guards, and Mike Dugar stating, okay, well, you better find a guard that can do what you want for what your offense to look like going into the season, and he hasn't been a part of that. So that is not a good sign. But it's good for number 63. So
Man, you're struggling with that name,
I'm gonna
man.
have to pull the
Calling these
name
your
up.
names. No,
But
it's cool. It's cool. Number
thanks,
63.
man.
Last thing on that, he was the 81st pick, and I'm looking at the players drafted after him. Literally, not literally, sorry. But he was the 81st pick. the 86th pick, the Niners took Dominic Puny, however you say his last. Damn, we're just botching names today. But they took him, who is a starting guard already. Like they got a plug and play guard. So it was like if you were going to use a third round pick there, you want to use it on a guy who plays. That's not like you said.
Simple.
That's not like good. Oh, we got another guy later. It's like, well, I guess then he just still burned a pick. It's like,
Yeah, that's the biggest issue. You just lost out on a pick. You could have done something else, but here they are,
yeah.
right?
Well, and it's a high pick too. It's like if you miss on 6th rounders, I'm not tripping. Even 5th round or whatever. But it's like I need you to hit on these thirds though. Particularly since you didn't have a second. So no, it does not.
Yeah.
It does not negate that at all.
This next one is from Abraham Newell. The improved run game, was that a result of blocking or the running backs being more suited for the gap scheme?
Yeah, definitely blocking. I feel like the scheme, they can actually run a few different things with the running backs that they have. They don't have to hit the gap stuff. I mean, it works. Like if it works, keep doing it. I do think they can get to the perimeter if they really wanted to. Just in terms of like talent wise, like Ken can definitely do that. I think Zach would be really good in that, like some of that like mid zone, kind of outside zone stuff that really worked with Rashad in the 2021 season. Remember where he was just Barry Sanders for a month? Like I think some of that stuff could really work with Zach in particular and Kenny. I think Kenny could be in a bunch of different schemes too. I thought he was more like a little scat back type dude, but like I said earlier, Kenny can really powerful, a lot more powerful than I had thought. Watching him coming out of Georgia. So yeah, I think just the scheme today though against that front like worked really well. It played really well into the hands of the Cardinals. It was a chess match for real. I don't know how much they talked about it on the broadcast, but I was noticing in real time the Cardinals' main plan for stopping the Seahawks run game was like, can we get Buddha near the ball? If it was like a flow chart. If the answer is yes, you'll get a stop. If the answer is no, it's a big play. And that's pretty much what the game came down to. It was like, can Buddha make a bazillion tackles in the run game? And the answer was no. How many tackles did Buddha have? Oh my God, Buddha had 18 tackles. Wow.
That's crazy.
Did you know that before now? That is nuts.
I knew in around the third quarter they showed the stat where he had, maybe in the second quarter, he had 10 tackles. I was like, God damn, that dude. And he got hurt. So I'm wondering how much he played through that injury and still had 8 more tackles after they showed he had 10. So the dude is he is a beast.
Oh my God, that's an insane. That might be the most I've ever seen a safety have in regulation. 18. Wow. And it wasn't like it was a bunch of chase down tackles, like it wasn't a bunch of plays down the field, clean up, saving touchdowns. He was near the line of scrimmage and stuff. Wow. So that actually helps. I didn't even know that stat till now. That kind of reinforces my point here. Like, yeah, they had a good chess match today. It was like, can we get away from Buddha? Yes. Big play. If we can't, no. 18 tackles is nuts. And yeah, I thought that really helped. I mean, it's division stuff we talked about earlier too, but yeah, that was Grubb and Olu and Geno were in a really good like battle with Baker and their DC. And also I point out Geno in that because I'm pretty sure I didn't get a chance to ask him, and I don't know if he talked about it after the game. I missed his press conference, but I'm like 65% sure Geno checked into Zach's 51-yard touchdown. Like I'm pretty sure he did. I feel like I've seen him check. I think he checked into that against the Lions when Rashad had a big run on that too. So I feel like he just has some autonomy there at the line of scrimmage. Remind me to ask about that this week. But yeah, I think that's what it was today. Really good chess match, really good battle. Buddha did all he could, 18 tackles. Good Lord. But just wasn't enough.
This one is from Lucha Vandross. Does Bradford even see the field once he's healthy? Rookie has looked solid in the 2 starts.
Yeah, probably. No, I know. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, no, probably not. That's the thing. Goes back we talking about with Mike Macdonald. It is you got to earn jobs back. Credit to some of the guys who've had to, like having good attitudes about it. Trey Brown's had a good attitude about his. I talked to Rayshawn Jenkins today, and like I wasn't sure. I want to write about Kobe this week, and I wasn't sure how he'd respond if I asked like, "Oh, what do you think of the way Kobe's playing?" Because like Kobe, why Rayshawn on the bench? But he was like, "Nah, man, Kobe balling." Gave me a great answer that I'll use later. But Yeah, it's the right attitude in the building. Everything is earned around here, So AB would have to get in there and practice and duke it out with South Tower, and get that job back. Not to say he couldn't, but the fact that everything is earned around here, I do think is like really, really encouraging. Yeah, AB falls right into that. Everybody does though. It's like Chenna back. Chenna just didn't play a bunch of snaps. Now some of that might be due to injury, but you got to earn that. You got to earn stuff around here. Not to say guys won't, but I think that's the culture. When we say the word culture with like a team and a franchise and everything and a coach, that's what that looks like. So yeah, AB, he could absolutely get back on the field again. But you know what's going to happen? Mike's going to say, all right, 65. I think that's AB number. 65, 63. Cool. You split these reps. Best man plays against the, Bears or whatever, I think that's the way you got to do it.
This next one is from Roland. Has Pharaoh Brown done what he was brought in to do?
I liked this question. It was kind of funny. It's just a variation of what does he do here? Which I enjoy. When we had that press conference with Leslie Frazier on Monday, I didn't ask anything because I was just frustrated that I lost all that sleep to get to the press conference and Mike didn't even show up. But someone asked Leslie, it was like, yeah, what's kind of been your role? Which is basically, what do you do?
In the most polite way.
Yeah, it was. It was funny. He gave a good answer. I don't remember what it was, but he was just like, yeah, man, I just helped Mike out, What you want me to say? But Pharaoh was brought here to run block and own the C gaps and the edges. And I actually do think he's been okay, a little inconsistent at times. Doesn't get flagged much, but he's really feisty. He's one of them dudes who you almost always catch pushing and shoving with the guys after the plays. And when you're a blocker, that is what you're supposed to do. Like that you are supposed to just piss off the other team. Don't get any flags or whatever, which I think he did a couple games ago. I think he got one on like a punt or something like that for like throwing the ball or like mushing a guy's face. It was a couple weeks ago. I know it was at a home game. It might have been Buffalo or the Rams. So you can't do that. But he definitely has that blocking attitude. And I think that him and AJ have done a really good job coming in and saying like, it's our job to block. So that's what we're going to do. Like, that's our role. Like, obviously, that would be nice to catch passes, but they both have really embraced that. And you can see Noah embracing that too. Noah's done it had good effort in the run and blocking when he's been out there. But yeah, I think Pharaoh's done a little inconsistent, particularly when he first got back, coming off the injury. But I do think he's been a big part of why the run game is working. He's definitely one of those dudes whose mentality is, coach, call runs behind 86 and we're going to score. Like, that's his attitude. He's the type of guy to go up to Grubb and be like, well, we ain't got enough runs to my side. Let's go. Run it to my side, So I like that. I think he's who got the unsportsmanlike penalty last week after Zach scored. I think he was like flexing at a Jets player or something like that. But every team needs a few like that, like the borderline George Pickens type dudes. You can't have too many. You cannot, because then you're those old Bengals teams. But we have Vontaze Burfict, Pac-Man Jones. You don't want that. But just like one or two dudes who like seem like they got a screw loose or something like that and just really love violence. Yeah, Pharaoh's that, and I do think he's done a decent job of bringing that, especially since he's on like $1 million deal or something like that. Yeah, he's been fine.
This next one comes from Scott Nelson. Geno Smith never got sacked or threw a pick on Sunday against the Cardinals. Was that an improvement for Smith? Agree or disagree?
Yeah, and I think that was a continuation of what happened in the second half of the last game. So what the Cardinals do is, because they know they don't have a bunch of just like pass rushers who are studs, they really try to confuse you up front. They do a lot of twists and stunts and things like that, and really just try to get guys free shots at the quarterback. I think that's how LJ Collier got to Geno last time. And I think they got him 4 times in the first half, not mistaken. I have to double check that for me, but they got him 5 times for the game last time, but I think only one of those was in the second half. And I think Geno even mentioned it. He was like, once we figured out how to pretty much pick up a stunt, we were fine up front. He said that in a nice way last time. And I had a feeling that would carry into the next game because, yeah, their scheme isn't super complex and their pass rushers aren't that great. So I think that was also just a testament to the O-line as well. I also think Geno's pocket movement was great. There was a play today where he like sidestepped twice and just like checked it down to Zach. But I was like, man, that looks exactly like the drill that you do when you put the little ladder down. And it just looked it looked just great. You can tell Geno's drills really come to life. Anyway, that was good as usual. And then the times that he did need to get rid of the ball, it was great. That throw to Jackson when he like picks it up off the ground damn near, like the anticipation from Geno on that, like on the road. Oh, that was cash. And then the interception stuff. Yeah, I mean, he threw one dangerous ball that DK had to like pretty much almost break up, you know. But otherwise, I thought Geno had another good game where he didn't really put the ball in harm's way, which was really good. And it really stood out in comparison to Kyler because Kyler was just launching that thing. I don't know what Kyler was seeing. It wasn't just the picks. The first pick was terrible. Second pick was whatever. Zay Jones was open for a second. But like, I think Kyler had like 9 passes that got hit a DB today, or like passes batted down or defense like in coverage. Like it really wasn't sharp today. But yeah, Geno was much better. Pocket stuff was good. Even like Geno only had 6 incompletions today. Like I said, I think one ball was bad. I have to go back and look. But like the go ball to Tyler that Tyler doesn't catch.
Ooh.
Oh, that is a dot. That is a dot over the whatever DB that was. So yeah, I thought Geno was cash. The interception thing, I think that was clearly just him. And then the protection was really solid. This is really what it should have looked like in week 1. The Cardinals defense is not good. It is, as I've been saying for about 3 weeks now, Buddha and some dudes. That's what it is. And you can see today. That's exactly what it looked like. Buddha had 18 tackles and they gave up 30. It's Buddha and some dudes, man.
Crazy. Michael Gartrell. Is Jackson Smith and Jigba wide receiver 1 now?
That's a good question. He is certainly performing like a wide receiver 1. Let me see where he stacks up around the league. I think CeeDee Lamb and Jamar both play on Monday. So take these rankings I'm about to give you with a grain of salt there, because I'm sure they're both ahead of him and will probably produce and stay ahead of him in that Monday night game. That's a stinker of a Monday night game too. I'll probably sleep through that. I'll let my daughter have the TV. But right now, Jackson's top 5 in receiving yards right now, like in the league. 4th among receivers because apparently Brock Bowers is the new Gronk. But like Jax is, he's got 911 yards, 75 catches, 5 touchdowns. Those are career highs across the board. Yeah, he's 5th. He's right ahead of Terry McLaurin, who was off this week. He is 31 yards ahead of CeeDee Lamb, so CeeDee will probably pass him. And Jamar Chase already has 1142 because he's a cyborg. And then Justin Jefferson leads the league because the Falcons don't roster any safeties. And somehow Jerry Jeudy is 3rd.
Oh, 200 helped one time.
But it's like, well, it's him and Jameis are just as good as Jamar and Joe Burrow damn near. It's nuts. But anyway, so Jackson's producing like a wide receiver 1, which I bring that up. You know, DK has 812, 3 tugs, hasn't scored in a little bit, 54 catches. I think DK's actually average per game is pretty decent. But the answer I would say is still no on the wide receiver 1 thing, because you can just see that DK is still dictating coverage. Like pretty much every play that GK had a chance to go vertical, he's double teamed. That's why other guys are so open. And like the one time they thought they had the deep shot there, they got like a delay game or something like that. And you could tell Geno was hot because he's like, damn, I got 1-on-1 with DK. And couldn't get it. I look back at the Jets game, and I think I didn't chart him, but I think DK had like 4 snaps where he got like 1-on-1 with no safety help, and he got targeted on like 3 of them. One of them, Sauce broke up, and then he got the one over DJ Reed and then the one over Sauce. And I'm excluding the goal line in this, but like I'm bringing that up to say they're still scared of DK, they being defenses. And as long as that's the case, in my mind, that's a wide receiver 1. When you're still dictating how teams are covering you, teams are not just comfortable saying, all right, we got a number 1 guy, go over there against DK. No, they're not doing that. They're still doing that with Jackson. They're still doing that with Locke. And it's opening up stuff underneath, and those guys are winning. So Jackson is producing like a wide receiver 1 because he's that type of talent. He's looking like the best receiver in his draft class. Although Jordan Addison obviously is no scrub.
Oh my
You know,
goodness.
he is a dog. That Falcons game, we're not a Falcons podcast, but they would just look like they were playing with 10 men and no safeties. It just was like, what? Bro, one dude didn't locate the ball, spun, found the ball, and then fell. Justin Jefferson just caught it and like walked backwards into the end zone. I was like, bro, this is Pee Wee football. But anyway, Jackson's performing like wide receiver one, but I do think it's still DK because of how he dictates how the other team plays coverage.
Excellent. That was going to be my exact point. Hell, on the third down conversion, DK is so impressive. Head down, sprinting like he's about to take the top off. And what does the cornerback do? He's trying to run hip to hip because he knows this could be over. He slams on the brakes, come back, wide open. But to your point, he is just such a threat that he will always be that number one receiver. As long as he's a threat in this league, he will dictate coverage, and teams have to respect that. And it helps when you have another guy, because that's what the Seahawks needed. Outside of Tyler Lockett, they needed just one more player that can do what JSN is doing, and you're seeing the benefits of it. It's only going to make this team better because it's going to come to a point where it's like, damn, now they got JSN and DK. How do we stop that? We can't leave Tyler Lockett open. So it's a good problem to have, but yeah, DK still numero uno.
I'm looking at I think I'm looking at his Jackson's catch, the one he pulls it off the ground.
Oh yeah, that
I
was
think
crazy.
that play, and let me look at the touchdown real fast. I'm pretty sure. Okay, I don't know about I can't read the Cardinals jersey numbers because the uniforms are stupid. So I can't tell who's who really. But I do know on the touchdown, he's being guarded one-on-one, I guess, basically against the safety. That type of stuff is just never happening for DK.
Never.
Kudos to him for being a team player because I'd be pissed. Like, what do you mean you get these flat-footed safeties guarding you on corner routes? I mean, I'm getting double teamed and stuff. Like, what's going on, bro? Anyway. But no, is DK still wide receiver one?
This next one comes from Ease World. Do you feel the Seahawks have a legitimate chance to go on a run for the postseason?
I'm glad we get these questions towards the end because it feels like we just rain on the parade of a good win with these. Because we are just still such realists, we don't get too caught up in the emotion of any win or loss. Because, Chris, I really don't think the answer to this is yes. Because I do need to see these. One of the reasons I'm not saying yes right now is because I do want to see them against the Packers and Vikings, in large part because those teams are good. The other part easily could be the first round matchup. Right now, look at the standings.
They would face the Packers at home.
Yes. Yeah. It would be this game coming up at home for the playoff. Yeah. And it could very easily be the Vikings, although actually it probably won't be because the Vikings are already 11-2 somehow. It could be them. But either way, I'm bringing that up to say you could end up seeing Washington or Green Bay in the first round. So let's say they get their door. I say yes to that question. Get their doors blown off in 6 days, and it's like, well, no, So let me see them against those guys. I do think they have a shot to beat both teams. Both teams will probably be favored. At least the Packers, I think, should. I don't know what the line is. But the other thing that I do think is holding me up a little bit is I just need to see more of Grubb win the chess matches with the defenses. So I do think he did a good job today, which is really important because this was his first time, I think, rematching a team. No, he rematched the Niners already. And they really couldn't score until Bosa got hurt. But I do think, let's see, Green Bay's -2.5. Thank you, Chris. That sounds about right. I could see that moving, though. Anyway, I need to see Grubb more against some of these DCs, really win these battles. I think next week will be a good test for him. The Vikings game will be great. Flores is a really good defensive coordinator. His defense is playing really well. They do a lot of stuff schematically that gives teams problems. How Grubb handles that will be good. Like, I need to see more from him because when the offense plays to its potential, these guys are great. Moving the ball on third down. Geno's making the right reads, running the ball. Because I feel pretty good about the defense now. I know some people might poo-poo the offensive they played, but I think they have played a role in Kyler not looking good. I don't think Kyler just forgot how to play ball. There's pressure in his face. That pick he threw that Kobe caught, he couldn't let the ball go earlier because D Hall's in his face. That's why he has to step up, throws late, Kobe gets it. Busted coverage by the Seahawks, but good on Kobe. for making that play, because if he doesn't, it's a touchdown. So I think the Seahawks defense is locked in, playing the run well. I know Connor ran it well today. My fantasy team tells me so. 18 carries, 90 yards, decent day on the ground, but it just doesn't feel like Connor really dictated anything. Not like Zach did, like you can just feel the difference, yardage aside. So I think they have a good shot in that playoff game. We'll see. I do also think that even if they were to win that, going to Philly, I would feel a little skittish about that. Largely,
They
because
get
so I think they would be fine against Philly's offense. Philly's offense just doesn't move me. They have really good players, but like Kellen Moore and Jalen Hurts, they spend the first quarter of every game smoking Black and Milds and watching Will Smith movies. They're just not locked in. Their offense is just awful in the first quarter. They didn't score again today. And even today, AJ Brown was like complaining about the offense. They won, but AJ still was like, we're not passing the ball well. So I wouldn't be too worried about Mike Macdonald against Kellen Moore or Jalen Hurts and them. However, I would be terrified, at least as of today, of Grubb versus Fangio, Vic Fangio being their DC. Because Fangio has them boys playing really, really well with a bunch of white DBs, and a bunch of first-round picks on their D-line. So, and now they have like Zach Bond at linebacker who's balling. So I do think they could maybe win that wild card, but going to Philly would be very tough. And if you had to go to Detroit, Godspeed. They're just trying to score 50 on everybody. It's just not fair. So we'll see. I say no. Chris, where do you stand on the, making a push?
Yeah, I'm not falling for it. I've watched this team for a.
You say it like it's an act.
It's not an act, but I've seen things. We talked about this off wax, Mike. You were just saying how bad the Cardinals are. It's Buda Baker and a bunch of guys. So yeah, they should have done this a few weeks ago. Correct. And you know what? They're going to get a good test next Sunday night, and that'll be okay. If they're in the game and they're right there, you know what? Okay, this is a team that could make some noise in the playoff. They're going to have to play better, obviously, but I don't foresee that. The line right now, I agree, is going to change. I think it'll be a home game, so I might say -5.5 maybe is probably the line. It's probably how it'll end. If the Seahawks can keep it within 5 points, okay. But I also want to see how they play. Are they able to run the football? Is Geno making mistakes? Because that's been kind of the issue all season. Now, a lot of the interceptions haven't been his fault, but can he take care of the football? That'll be things I'll be focusing in on. So I don't think they are right now a team that can make a playoff push. I think they get a home playoff game and they just get beat. That's how I see it happening. But on Sunday against the Packers, it'll be a really fun test just to see where they rank among a good football team. Because the last time they played a good football team was who, Mike? Was it the Buffalo Bills?
I do think that the version of the Cardinals that they played
The
first time was good. Like I'm not gonna try to reverse history. Like the Cardinals had won 4 straight. They were scoring a lot of points coming in. Kyler was playing well. James Conner was running well. Their defense had been playing well. So they were a good team at that time. And since then, I think they've been exposed as just an okay team. I think that's kind of what it is, because they've played 2 what I would now call good teams, the Vikings and the Seahawks, and they just haven't been able to look like themselves. So yeah, I'm with you. I got to see. I don't know what happened in the playoff game. I think next week will tell us everything, really. I do think they should win, though. They should beat the Packers, because the Seahawks have shown, like, if they don't get in their own way, they can move the rock. That's the thing. It's the penalties and stuff, and Geno's included in that. I do think I might be in the minority here. I actually do think that was grounding that he got flagged for.
Oh yeah, I would. They talked about it. Yeah,
they did. Okay,
it was like 8 yards away from the receiver. Like, bro, you gotta get to the line of scrimmage. You didn't even do that. So
and I think it would have been a very generous interpretation of a receiver being, quote, in the area. Yeah. That is not the area. That's not. No, that's not. That was the definition of grounding. You got rid of the ball to not take a sack. You intentionally threw the ball on the ground. That's exactly what happened there. That was not a throw to I think it was AJ or something like that.
Yeah,
Pharaoh, whatever. Yeah. So yeah, I just got to see it. I got to see the Seahawks play a clean game, because today wasn't even super clean. 6 penalties on offense. I want to see him play that like that against the Packers. So I won't say the Cardinals aren't good, though. I do think they made the Cardinals look worse than they actually are. I think, so because the Cardinals outplayed the Vikings for 50 minutes, maybe 55, and then just wet the bed. And Sam Darnold looked like prime Brett Favre for a drive, and then it was over. So and then their coach goofed up the final possession. So I don't think the Cardinals are bad. They're cooked, but they're not, bad. They're just like an okay. They're what I used to think about the Seahawks. They're just okay.
Travis, what should be the priority focus heading into the Packers game next week? Mike mentioned it actually. Clean football, not getting in your own way. If they can do that, to Mike's point, yeah, I don't know if they should win the football game. I do think the Packers offense is is lightning, even though Reed had 0 catches last week against Detroit Lions. I don't know how much of that is because the corners over there locking him up, or I don't know. I didn't watch the tape on that game. I just was like, damn, bro, ain't got a catch yet? That's crazy. I do think the running game is really good, and I think Love, man, he can spin the football. So it'll be a fun matchup. But I don't think the Seahawks should win, but we'll see. But I do know having a clean football game will put them in position to win that game.
Oh, I for sure think they should win. Because I think as much as people don't like how often Geno's throwing a pick, boy, wait till you watch some Jordan Love games. Go tap in with some Packers fans. He's
Did I
throwing
say
a pick
Julian?
every week too.
I think I said Jordan. My bad, Jordan Love.
I can't remember what I think you said Jordan. But either way, Jordan Love, yeah, you think Geno's throwing too many picks. Jordan Love has 11 picks. And how many games he played? 11 picks in 11 games. Like he's put damn Kirk has 15. Oh, they got to bench him.
Oh yeah,
sorry.
This is his last week.
He's done. Yeah, Kirk Cousins is done. Anyway, yeah, I think they should win, but I think the focus should be the offense playing clean, Grubb winning that chess match, and just trying to make the life a little bit easier on Geno. Because honestly, this might be a game. It's weird for me to say this because of how talented the Seahawks are, but if they can just go in there and just make fewer mistakes than Green Bay, they'll probably win. Because like Love's good for like he's looking like Black Brett Favre out there, minus the stealing from poor people. Like he's just throwing a pick just cause for the love of the game, every week. I got good friends that are Packers fans. They be checking in with me every week. Like, yo, man, he really just got too much Brett Favre energy. He just throw random picks, bro. It's crazy. He's throwing 11 in 11 games. It's not an accident. So I think the focus though is play clean and just do right, because I think the Loves do, he'll give you one. And I think if their offense can just do right, they'll be fine. Because I'm looking, Chris, at their drives in the third quarter, and after they went up like 17 or whatever, like I'm looking at their drives that like didn't score, and almost all of them I think had penalties. You look at they had a drive where they ended up just checking it down to Zach, I think on 3rd and 20. That had the intentional grounding, which was a big penalty. Second drive for the half, that was just not great execution. They had another penalty, looks like on South Tower. You get the penalty on Abe. Like I'm looking through my notes right now. There's just penalties on all these drives that really don't, help. False start on Abe, that turns a 3rd and 3 into a 3rd and 8, in the fourth quarter. So I really think the goal should be to play clean, holding penalty on Abe that negates a 9-yard catch that would have turned it would have been 3rd and 6. Instead, it was 2nd and 25, so I'm not going to run through the whole game, but yeah, play clean. Play clean. You should be okay against Green Bay. Just do like Pete Carroll used to say, do right longer than the other guys. That should be the emphasis. I'm not worried about the defense.
Moose 02. How would you categorize the Seahawks' successful season for the first year of Mike Macdonald compared to Pete Carroll's recent years? And what's left to solidify a successful season? Be your opinion, division win, 10-7 record, playoff win, etc.
Yeah, I mean, my expectations have never changed. If you're gonna fire Pete after winning 9 games, the next guy should come in there and win more. Win more. Go to the playoffs. And if you're not gonna gut the roster, which they didn't, go in there and win more. Go win a playoff game, maybe 2. Yeah, that's always been the expectation for me. It's double-digit wins, playoff win, been the case. That's why the first part of the year was so disappointing. I do think, honestly, at this point, Chris, they should
get 10 wins.
Gotta get 10. You get 10.
Yeah, they're at 8. So you have no excuse not to.
Yeah, like even if you split, a split would be bad, I think. But like even if you split, that's what gets you to 10-7. That probably wins you the division. Assuming one of those is against the Rams. Gets you that home playoff game. A home playoff game with fans for the first time since 2016. I think, because I've never covered a Seahawks playoff game at home with fans. The 2020 game didn't. That's how long it's been. So yeah, that's my expectations for success. I think they got to win a playoff game, if not two. Because I do think by the time, if they were to get, the reason I say two is because by the time, even though we just talked about Philly, by the time they get to that Philly game, if they were to get there, that means that they probably went 10-7, probably beat Minnesota or Green Bay, which would be big wins. Um, that means they beat one of them again. Let's say they beat both of them. So they split with Green Bay and Minnesota in the regular season. Then they see Green Bay again and then beat them. So that means you have beaten Minnesota once, beaten Green Bay. At that point, I'm gonna start to believe. At that point, you should be able to go into Philly against a team that doesn't score in the first quarter, and put up a good fight. Do right longer than the other guys there. In theory, you wouldn't be favored, but in theory, so that should be the expectation. That's my expectation, because you didn't fire Pete to just be okay. You fired him so you could be great. They didn't believe he could get them to be great anymore. So I think the new guy should do that. And that's my expectation. Don't know if they get there, but that's what I think they need to get out of this season. I think even if you were to just get to the wild card round and get bounced, I personally think that wouldn't be successful.
Slim checks in. How are you guys feeling? The Seahawks are going to do the next 4 games. Rams looking like a major game at the end of the season.
Yeah, I think they should go 3-1 probably. That's what I think they should do.
Will they?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how Grubb will do against some of these next couple DCs. We'll see. He's showing good stuff, but small sample of the good stuff. But he's getting better, which is what you want to see. Because the Cardinals getting worse, Falcons getting worse. Like there are teams that are going the wrong way this time of year, and the Seahawks, fortunately, are not one of them. So that is encouraging. I would say I would probably predict a split. And it does look like that Week 18 game could be like the Sunday Night Football game, like the final game of the regular season, that gets flexed like it did in 2019 against the Niners. So, and the loser being out, that would be my guess in that game, depending on what happens with the Commanders. So, yeah, that'd be my guess, about 2-2. It really does for me come down to Grubb in the offense. I really trust Geno's eyes. I trust his arm. I'm not really too worried about him. I'm not too worried about the O-line that much, despite the right guard situation with them now having their third starter there in however many games. It really just does come down to like the chess match, the identity, what you're getting your guys to do on Sundays, on offense. As long as they can do that, should be all right. But even then, with all that, I really have a lot of respect for the next 4 teams they're going to play, minus Chicago. And who knows what the weather will be like in that game too. So that could be iffy.
I
have a lot
care.
of
Chicago is so ass. It don't even matter. It could be 4 feet of snow. Seahawks would win by 7 easily. That is a bad team, top to bottom. They got talented names, but my gosh, they can't play a game of football together for their lives.
Yeah, they stink. What are they? 4-9? Yeah. Oh, did they get eliminated today? They got knocked out of title contention. But division title, excuse me. Yeah, I would say probably a split. They should go 3-1 though.
This next one is from Cody. Have your opinions changed on John Schneider based on the changes they've made on defense? Ooh, I say no, but go ahead, Mike.
I'm with you. I'm
well,
with
you're probably thinking of the same thing. It's like, first of all, Mike Macdonald made those moves. John Schneider probably didn't have anything to do with that. John Schneider was like, oh, you want to do what? Yeah, we got to get him. He's got to go. We need this guy, and we also need this guy. He's also got to go. Now, the only thing that John Schneider, I think, did was in regards to the kicking, the punt return and all that situation with LaVisca. At least it appeared that way by some of his comments. Now, maybe Mike Macdonald had more say and was like, nah, we got to, he's cut. But I do know for defense, Mike Macdonald had all saying that. That's a Mike Macdonald move 1,000%. Like, John Schneider tried to do it his way, and you see what happens. Everyone that he had and brought in is now gone. Mike Macdonald had to solve the problem. So, yeah, John Schneider don't get no pass. He's just, things are looking better for him, but it's not anything he's done. Shout out Mike Macdonald, the defensive coordinator, the head coach.
Yeah, and I don't know how much to
Okay, let me
attribute
back up. Yeah,
what.
probably not 100%, but
Well, I just don't know. You could be 1,000% right. I have no idea. I do think it's fair to assume that Mike has a little bit more of like sway over who's on the field on defense. Like you can just tell kind of how he moves. Like he just has a short fuse. Like he's very clearly just like, bro, this dude is not playing. Like even if like Tyrese Knight in the preseason, he was just like, yeah, he's making a lot of tackles, but no, you know, like he's like that. He's
yeah.
really hard on his guys. I'm saying no, um, because what was the question here? Oh, John Schneider. Cool. I'm not a big proponent of giving someone credit for a mess they made, like cleaning up
Mm,
a mess they made. And we used this analogy before. I think I usually use my daughter. Like if she spills something on the kitchen floor and she cleans it up, it's not like a pat on the back. You're the one who spilled it, And that's kind of how I viewed some of these things with John Snyder. It's like, oh man, that Ernest Jones move, man, John Snyder's really on it. Cool. Think to yourself, why did they need Ernest? Once you answer that, boom, you got it. Uh, and even like this is not a knock to either one of them. I think they're both playing fine, Rayshawn and Kobe, but it's like Rayshawn was the free agent acquisition. Kobe's the guy. Okay, well, who decided to play Kobe? You know what I'm saying? So I'm with you on the no because I just think that a lot of what John's done, honestly, for the past like 5 years, has been trying to clean up stuff he created. It's like I don't give you much credit for that. It's like, ooh, they got Leonard. Well, why did you need Leonard? And it wasn't just because Chenna got hurt, by the way, that they needed Leonard. They've been needed game changers up front. Pete said that after they lost the wild card game. So yeah, that's kind of how I generally view a lot of these moves. Now there are some moves that were just good. Josh Jobe, nice signing. I don't think Mike had much to do with that at all. I think Carl Scott had worked with him with Alabama. John Snyder's cool with Howie Roseman. The Eagles drafted Josh Jobe, and was just like, all right, cool. That's a John Snyder move. Like something like that, I'll attribute. Even when they drafted Tyrese Knight, it was like John was like, hey, shoot, Mike's the linebacker guru. He'll get him right. He pretty much said that on draft night. He was like, yeah, that's the linebacker guy. He'll get him right. And then Byron was just a no-brainer. So no, I'm not like viewing it differently. I'm not just like saying John's doing nothing, to be clear. But if you ask me specifically, like, in my opinion changed? No. The Ernest move is great. Game changer. Why did you need Ernest? Like I could have told you that. Never mind. Well, let's not rehash all that, but yeah, John, ask yourself that question. Every time Ernest makes a good play, like, well, this is a great move by John. Then ask yourself, why did we need to get him? That's important as well. That goes into the math for me.
This next one is from Eric at Tweets Are Dumb. Salary cap next year. How's it looking? Boye Mafe, K9, Reek, Abe, all eligible for that second contract. Plus, we talked about Ernest Jones just recently, but Geno Smith and DK possible extensions.
Yeah, you definitely have to do something with Tyler's contract, Geno's contract. You should do something with DK's contract if you're smart. That should free up some room because I do think there's some guys now that you got to make sure you keep. You probably have to do something with George Fant too. It's a big cap hit. I don't know if you trust Mike Jarrell, you're probably fine. They're moving on from George's cash. I think Draymond's number is huge as well. If Chenna's fine, you just roll with that. So those are probably the moves you got to make. I'm looking at the roster now. I'm not sure I hit anyone with the extensions quite yet. I see how Abe finishes the year. Abe's playing well, by the way. But yeah, I'm not really sure if I'm hitting anyone with an extension. Maybe Charles. Maybe Charles. You get but also you can just pick up his 5th year option. Charles is also a young player, so that's just kind of if you just want to. I guess you don't really have to. Because he's still got 2 more years of team control on him, but he's probably going to want to come to the table. Charles is his own agent too, so you got to keep that in mind as well. I'm definitely tweaking Geno's contract to keep him. I can't believe that was ever a thing of like not keeping Geno around, man. Like Chris, sometimes I feel like we were going crazy there with like Geno. It was just so clear that Geno was like a good player, like especially relative to the rest of the league. Well, it's not even that Geno's like Mahomes part 2. It's just like, go look around. They're just capable quarterbacks just out here in the draft or available. There's a lot of dudes making a lot more money than Geno who won't have jobs soon. Kirk Cousins got 100 million guaranteed. That's how much it costs for someone like him. Only reason Russ is playing on a minimum is because the Broncos paid him 40 million to leave. Daniel Jones got 40 million a year, and he is not even on the team anymore. The same week as Geno's deal. So it was just so crazy. People were like, let's get rid of Geno. All right, cool. That's what my auntie says every time she sees me. She's like, Mike, we get rid of Geno yet? It's just like, and do what? So yeah, anyway, definitely keep Geno, do something with his deal, tweak it, extend it, whatever. DK, yes. I wouldn't do anything to Ken's deal. I'd let that ride out. Probably same thing, let that ride. Maybe even take that into August. Abe, same way. I might get ahead on the Charles thing because left tackle, man, you can't play with that. You might have to just go ahead and pay that up front, and then I pay Ernest. So that's probably the Cliff Notes version of what I would do. And then if you need to get rid of some cash, yeah, you probably look at Draymond's deal, maybe Noah's deal too. And then George. Those are probably the biggest ones. There's probably some others too. We got more time for that. But yeah, it seems like it should be a pretty simple offseason.
Michael Dixon's making $3 million, 3.6.
Hey, he's good. He's way better than their other punter.
All pro. I ain't mad at it. He's damn good. And this last one comes from our guy, Ryan Turner. Mike Macdonald has slowly started to open up a bit of his personality to the Seahawks, to the team that is. What is your pulse of the player and coach dynamic in his first season? The guys have responded to him post-bye.
Yeah, I like how this kind of coming full circle here is something we talked about at the beginning of the show. Mike, when he's with the media, has pretty much no personality, which is so hilarious because it sounds like he does behind the scenes. I don't really see it. I see it a little bit like in passing, I'm not going to share any of those stuff because it's all like off the record things, but it sounds like with the players, he definitely has. It says corny jokes. I think Jaron Reed talked about like getting in thumb wars with guys, like, but yeah, I know it's just random weird stuff,
Hella cheesy. Hey, Mike, you want a thumb war?
You guys ever just had a coworker who's like weird, right? But he's
Softy.
nice. And well, no. Okay. You guys ever had a coworker, not Softy, that shout out to Softy, that is just like he kind of a little awkward, a little weird, but it's cool. Not because he's only a nice guy, but also he's really good at the thing he's here for. Whether it's like it's the IT guy or the guy who's in charge of making the schedules or just the chick who's at the front desk as good as Mike's just like that. Just like, you know what, you a little off, but damn, man, you nice at your thing that we need you to do. He's like that. Like he's just nails, he really is. And that's kind of his personality. Is like a little. He's like not mean dude, but not like a super funny guy. He's like really intense, kind of serious. Yeah, he's a very straightforward guy. Kind of reminds me of Kawhi Leonard, where his answers are very much like very direct to the point. Greg Popovich, sometimes in the like, he's just very straightforward and direct, and I think that's part of what the players like in terms of critiquing them. Like if they're not doing something right, or like what they need to accomplish, like he expresses that very obviously. It's like, hey, you're not doing this. So I need you to do A, B, and C. Like right now, this is how we're teaching it. This is how we're doing it, which is probably why all that stuff on offense is so frustrating. Because it's like, bro, I'm not teaching you to snap the ball over Geno's head. Why are you doing that? Stop it. Somebody pointed out today they're 4-0 since Connor Williams retired, by the way. But yeah, I think the way he relay stuff to them is very important, like very straightforward, doesn't sugarcoat anything. I'm sure he tells these guys like, what the F are you doing, quite a bit. But also he's very accountable. I don't know if we mentioned this earlier in the show, but like he said post-game before he gave the game balls away, he was like, yeah, I screwed up the first drive. So I'm glad the offense came and got that right back. Like that's that's good accountability, because it was the first drive, the touchdown was weird. Yeah, like Spoon playing safety, I think, and then like Kobe ISO'd one-on-one against like the slot receiver. It was a very weird, funky look, and it's not surprising it led to a touchdown. So like he's really accountable, and you could see the accountability part rubbing off on people. Like I talked to guys this week about like short yardage stuff, and everybody took their blame. Ken Walker was like, "I got to be better," Then then the run game will click. Olu was like, "Damn everybody else, I got beat by Quentin Williams all game. I gotta be better." Geno was like, "Nah, man, I missed Noah on the read. I gotta be better." Like it was just so much accountability all over the damn place. It was kind of cute. Good for them. Very charming. But like that seems like the part of Mike's personality that they're all attached to. Because otherwise, yeah, no, Mike's kind of a stick in the mud. Like definitely not high on my list of like go get a beer with coaches. Nice guy though. Yeah, very nice. But yeah, he's opening up like quietly behind the scenes with them. But yeah, it's not much with us. He didn't even talk to us much after his son was born. Oh, actually, excuse me. His son being born was the only thing that like he really seemed to like really open up a little bit. But even then, since then, not much. I do like Mike though. He just is a boring guy. Really boring. Good coach, boring dude.
Well, there you have it. We thank you guys for tuning in for another episode of Seahawks Man to Man, whether you are listening via Spotify, Apple, iHeart, or wherever you get your podcasts. We appreciate those that are watching us on YouTube. Appreciate all the love and support. We will come back Wednesday with our one big thing, and we'll have our special guest to preview that Green Bay Sunday Night Football. That should be a good one. So we'll preview that. And then on Friday, standout plays from the Seahawks victory over the Cardinals. Mike, is there anything you want to add before we get out of here?
Yeah, thank you guys for the love and support. Really appreciate it. Oh man, it's real late where I'm at, 6 a.m. flight. So stayed up late for you guys. Appreciate all that love. Make sure you like and subscribe to YouTube. Seahawks Man to Man on YouTube, TikTok. What's the last one? Oh, Instagram, all that stuff. Like, subscribe, share. We really appreciate all of that. We will have the homie Matt Schneidman, covers the Packers for The Athletic, on our show later this week. For all my Cougs out there, Matt went to Syracuse, so we're going to trash talk him up. We playing them in the Holiday Bowl, baby. Yeah, go Cougs. Enjoy your week. Catch you guys later.